are charged with dereliction of duty. What would that be? D-E-R-E-L-I-C-T-I-O-N. Dereliction of duty. It is to not perform your duties in a way that you've just thrown them aside. I'm not going to bother doing the job. So she was charged by the court with failing to perform her jobs in a proper fashion. She just didn't bother.
Determinate. We can say determinate.
I'm sorry, what? You can say
Determinate.
determinate?
Yes.
No. Dereliction is the failure to perform. Failure to perform your duties. Derelict. Didn't bother. She was supposed to do this. There were some charges about rice crops and things like that, and just didn't bother. Failed to perform her duties in a proper manner as Prime Minister of the country. Instead of doing her job, they're saying, oh, she went on vacation or something like that. Didn't bother. Dereliction of duty. A legal expert who asked not to be identified, don't use my name, said that anyone caught helping her escape, likely not to be found guilty. Yeah, depending on what we know right now, likely not to be found guilty of violating the law, going against the law. Because the escape, the takeoff, the flight, and her alleged help, which is alleged, not proven, took place before the warrant was issued. So she was just the ex-prime minister. There was no warrant for her arrest, there was no anything. And so they're going to say that we didn't take her to Cambodia because we knew she was going to be arrested. We just took her to Cambodia because we thought she wanted to go to Cambodia for a visit for one day. But she never came back. So, they're saying that they probably won't be convicted. We'll see. But this was the idea of the article today in the Bangkok Post. The panel and the question about the panel, police, investigating police, criticism, that type of thing. Are there any questions about the words here?
Why, meanwhile.
At the same time.
When, meanwhile.
Meanwhile, back at the ranch, that's the old American joke, sorry. Meanwhile, in other words, while I'm talking to you at this moment, meanwhile, back at the Marino office, somebody's having a cup of coffee. Meanwhile, at the hotel up the street, people are having breakfast. All while I'm talking to you, meanwhile, something else is happening. So in this case, while the panel is meeting on their first day and getting criticism and all that, meanwhile, at the same time in another place, a legal expert was asked about what's going on, and he said this, and he outlined this whole thing. While I'm doing something, meanwhile, back at the ranch, they're getting ready to herd the cattle or something like that. Something is happening at the same time I'm talking to you. Meanwhile, back at the office, people were making phone calls about this, that, or the other thing.
True action in this.
Any other questions about this?
The court ruling is like the court justing is the same meaning. The court to hear the court ruling.
Yeah, the court's decision on the matter of the dereliction of duty. So I think it's this Wednesday that they're going to announce what they would have announced a couple weeks ago, before she took off. So this Wednesday, they're going to say, well, she was guilty of dereliction of duty, or whatever. So, but the ruling, the decision of the court, what did the court say? Well, the court ruled that she was guilty, or the court ruled that she was not guilty. Failed to show up. In other words, failed to show up. Did not arrive. Did not arrive. She failed to show up for class. Means she did not turn up for the class. Failed to show up. Failed to arrive and present herself as a student. Failed to show up. Any questions about the words? Pronunciation of the words?
Violating.
What?
Violating. Violating.
Violating.
Violating.
Not why olating. Not why did he olate. No. Why? No. By. The teeth, the upper teeth over the lower lip. By olating. By olating. Going against the law. The law says do not exceed 45 kilometers per hour on this street. And he's going 47. He violated the law. Violated. Everybody wants to say violating. No. Bye. Goodbye. Oh, I'm sorry. Goodbye. Bye. That's why practice is important. Bye. Not bye. Ruling in dereliction of duty case. Fail to perform at all. Threw it away. I'm not going to bother. Any other questions about this? Violating, meanwhile, expert arrest. Alleged. Violating, dereliction, failed to show up. Okay, if you come across any newspaper articles that you find interesting, bring them in, we'll go over them.
อาจารย์ไม่อ่านนะเนี่ยไม่ให้นั่น
Please like, write how to read
Direction.
What about it?
Please write how to read.
Please write how to read.
Expense. Expense.
Are you saying accent?
Accent.
Accent.
Yes. Accent.
What accent?
Accent.
How to read.
Why not to
How
read?
to read.
อาจารย์ไม่ต้องใจ
ดูถูกคนไทย
งง
Direction.
Dereliction of duty. Dereliction of duty. Dereliction. Perfect. Ah, wow. How did you manage that? Dereliction. not Rick, lick. Right there, she's got it, right there. Lick, shut. Yeah, what's so hard about that? That's about the easiest word I've ever seen. Dereliction. Dereliction of duty. You hear it all the time. And, A-N-D, and.
And violating.
There, you want to take over? You're doing great.
This one too.
Alleged.
Arrange the sound. Arrange the
Arrange.
Alleged. 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 Alleged.
With the G sound complete.
Well, this is the past tense, alleged. In the past, if it's I allege, no D. I allege. But today, right now, I allege that you did this and that. Yesterday, I alleged that you did this or that. Allege is to not have proof, but say that is the man that robbed the bank. Well, how can you prove it? Well, I just have a feeling he's probably the guy. Oh, whoa, wait a minute. You just can't have a feeling he's the guy that robbed the bank. You got to be able to prove that he robbed the bank. That requires an investigation. Allegations are insufficient. Not enough to just say, okay, 15 years in jail because I feel he's the guy that did it.
Teacher, so in the fifth line, L took place before the arrest.
Arrest.
Are you tired? Please take a rest. Are you tired? Or in that case, please take a rest. Arrest? Arrest? Same idea. Different meaning. If I'm going to arrest you for the crime of the bank robbery, that doesn't mean I'm telling you to take a rest. I'm going to take you to jail. No, but it's the same pronunciation. Arrest. Please take a rest. You're too tired. You're too upset. Please take a rest. The police are going to arrest me for bank robbery. Oh. Pronunciation, yes, but different, of course, a different meaning. But the idea being arrest, arrest, arrest. Take a rest, I'm going to arrest you.
Please take a rest.
No, wrong. The R and the L. This requires practice. It's not a lest, it's arrest. Arrest. Arrest.
No.
You have to work on that pronunciation because it's common. A lest, no. Arrest, yes. Please take a rest. Not please take a lest.
Arrest.
Arrest. Down here.
จานนั่นแหละหมดละ
Any other questions about the words or the idea behind behind it? Dereliction of duty. Dereliction. Alleged. Alleged. Or if it's present tense, allege. Allege.
Teacher, warrant. Is it called warrant? Warrant.
Oh.
Warrant, it means the document. It means document.
Well,
Want to arrest someone.
นั่นนี่
arrest. Arrest. Yes, a document that the court has given out, and it's given to the police everywhere, in Thailand, let's say, that there is an arrest warrant issued by the Supreme Court. A warrant has been issued by the Supreme Court to arrest that person. And the arrest warrant was issued on August 25th. Arrest warrant.
Arrest warrant. Warrant.
Teacher, let's send the catch the people. Catch.
Oh, well, arrest.
People.
Yeah. To arrest somebody is to stop them and seize them. It is to take them into custody of the police. You would be handcuffed, put in the car, and move. And once you're arrested, they don't come and say, "Well, we have an arrest warrant. If you're free right now and not too busy, we'll take you with us." No. You're arrested right now. They don't care what you're doing. You're under arrest. You're gone right now. No, we'll be back in a half hour to take you to jail. And meanwhile, you go to the airport to fly away. No.
Handcuff. C-U-F. Handcuff. How to spell that? C-U-F.
handcuff handcuff ถูกจับเนี่ย
กุญแจมือ
Okay. Something the same, right?
Yeah. Handcuffs. Most of the time,
see you
well, I would say it should be every time that you're arrested, you're handcuffed. Because having worked in that field myself, I know that once a person is arrested, they can become extremely unpredictable. In other words, you're under arrest. I am? Oh no. So the first thing to do is the handcuffs, and then we'll talk from there. Because they can become very unpredictable. Any other questions about this?
because
Teacher, alleged means you say already, but you are not confirmed. You are not sure. Alleged.
Somebody, for some whatever reason, there could be 1,000 reasons, say that he is the guy that robbed the bank. I'm telling the judge, I'm a police officer, he robbed the bank. That is what we are alleging. It has to be proven that he did rob the bank. So, then the judge would say, well, can you prove that allegation, that statement that you allege that he is the one that robbed the bank? Can you prove that? Well, we are investigating it right now. Well, once you have sufficient information that he's the one that did it, we'll issue an arrest warrant. So they go out, and maybe they interview at the bank 3 people who saw you rob the bank. And do you know the man that did? Oh, yes, I do. He's my neighbor. I was so shocked when I saw what was going on. Oh, you know the guy? Oh, yeah. That's William Smith. He lives at XYZ Street right there. And then they interview a second witness. Yeah, well, he was about 30 years old. He was about 5'10". You know, he had a jacket on that said Hong Kong number 18. Oh, he did? Oh, okay.
Number 18.
Oh, okay, take that down. And then the third witness says, I saw him, he came out of the bank as I was walking in. He knocked me out of the way. He was running. Oh, did you notice anything? Well, he got into a car. And he drove away. And I was so upset that I wrote down the license number. The license number, check the plate, William Smith, XYZ, go. Your Honor, 2 eyewitnesses, the car, we know that he was in Hong Kong and he played on the team there. His number was 18 and he lives at this street, and one of the witnesses recognized him as her neighbor. Aha. The allegations are now, there is sufficient proof to arrest the man, Mr. Smith. He can be arrested based on the witness statements. Then, of course, there has to be a trial. And he goes to trial before the court, the jury. He's got a defense attorney who says, no, those witnesses were wrong. Oh, really? And the prosecution says, no, those witnesses were right, and we'll have each one of them come up here and make a statement. And at the end, the jury goes back and forth, this, that, guilty as charged. So the allegations were that it was Mr. Smith, but 3 people were able to prove it, that it was him. In the end, at the trial, he was convicted and sentenced to jail. And it all began with allegations, statements that it's him. And it was finally proven in court by the jury, conviction.
Rattling.
Ruling, duckling, no, ruling. Ruling, I'm wondering, duckling? What duckling? What duckling? Oh, ruling. Well, the ruling of the court, to hear the court ruling is the statement by the judge that guilty or not guilty. The ruling, the statement by the judge to rule in the case is to say guilty or not, innocent or not. The ruling. The results of the trial. And the judge said, my ruling is, based on all the evidence, guilty.
แปลว่าอะไรนะ
ไม่ได้บอกชื่อเนี่ยไม่ออกข่าว
ruling แปลว่าอะไรวะ
Any other questions?
Teacher, alleged is the different
ไม่
meaning.
ออกข่าวอ่ะ
If someone have a suspect behavior, is a different meaning.
Well, a suspect would be a person where allegations have been made. Allegations have been made that Mr. Smith robbed the bank. Well, how do you know that? Oh, well, one of the neighbors recognized him as her neighbor, and another lady got his license plate when he was leaving the bank. Those are allegations. It's not proven. It might have been Mr. Smith, but it may be somebody that looked like Mr. Smith who stole his car and used it in the bank robbery.
ว่าอะไร
Therefore, the license plate belongs to Mr. Smith. But Mr. Smith, at the same meanwhile, as the bank was being robbed, Mr. Smith, the real Mr. Smith, was at the police department reporting a stolen car. My car was stolen. And it was, then we find out it was used in a bank robbery. Well, obviously, if Smith is at the police while the bank robbery's occurring, he's not robbing the bank. So the allegations could be false or true, depending. That's why it has to be investigated. So Mr. Smith would be a suspect, but there may be 5 suspects, and they have to be eliminated one at a time. You could have, you know, the neighbor might have made a mistake and thought it was Mr. Smith. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. And the car that they said, oh, that was Mr. Smith's car. Oh, but no, it was stolen. Whoa. So, these things have to be investigated to find out what...
Teacher, ruling send the government ruling the citizen.
Not in this case. The king rules the country.
Send, not send.
The king rules the country. Well, you know, to rule, in this case, it is a statement by the court, a ruling, guilty, not guilty. The king rules the country. He directs the country. He controls the country, yeah. In a sense, it's the same, but in this case, the court ruling is the court's statement on a very specific case. Any other questions about this? If you find things like this and that you're interested in talking about them or going up, you know, having the words discussed or the article discussed, bring it in. We'll discuss it. But this, as I again mentioned, was the Bangkok Post this morning. So, if you have the time and the interest, get an English language newspaper, and you can, with a dictionary or whatever, you can look up words, find out the meaning of words, like flak. Flak. Not everybody would know the meaning of flak
Back of
right off the bat, but if you look it up in the dictionary, it says flak. Criticism. But the real meaning, of course, goes back to the days of World War II with the anti-aircraft firing. Boom, 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 boom. Criticism. Shooting remarks instead of bullets, let's say. Any other questions about this?
อันนี้มีนาทีค่ะ
Any other questions about this?
No, thank you.
You sure?
No, I'm not sure.
Duckley? I mean ruling?
I confused ruling.
Ruling. Okay, there we go.
มันเป็นกฎของคุกใช่ไหม
So by looking at an English language newspaper, and actually you don't even have to read the articles, just look at the headlines and get an understanding of the headlines and the meaning of the words that you see, like flak. You know, he's catching a lot of flak. It's criticism. Things like that. You can spend, you don't have to spend, I'm not telling you to spend 5 hours doing it, but 15 or 20 minutes or a half an hour with the paper and look up some words and there you are. But that's how you increase your vocabulary and get a better understanding of English words. Oh wow, what happened?
It's not clean.
Oh, yeah, right, okay.
It is.
Okay.
The ink, the pen,
Yeah. It's the pen's fault.
of the pen.
Fault of
It's
the
the pen
pen.
of the pen.
Right.
Regard, teacher, regard and regard mean raw. Raw. Raw.
Oh. I thought you said regard.
Regard.
Yeah, legal. Refers to the law. It's either legal or illegal.
Illegal.
Illegal is against the law. Why, that's illegal. You're going 50 kilometers per hour in a 45 kilometer zone, that's illegal.
Illegal, not,
It's against the law.
not the, not right.
Illegal.
Illegal.
Illegal.